right? Everyone says, well, that's part of aging. No, it's part of losing estrogen. And so a lot of these changes that are happening can be addressed with hormones. We don't have to use hormones, but there's a good discussion to be had.
Welcome to Wisdom Beyond the Womb. I'm Trisha Harris with Trisha Harris Photography, and today we've sat down with Ashleigh in Pausitive Women's Care. How are you today, Ashleigh?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we're going to talk about the word hormones today and some other stuff. Tell me what type of service you provide.
Yes. So I own a Pausitive Women's Care. It's a gynecological office. We serve women of all ages, but we specialize in midlife women, so 35 to 55-year-olds.
So you've been in the industry, you said, for 10 years now?
Yes.
10 years. All women's care?
All women's care. So I started off in reproductive endocrinology, and then I did OBGYN, urogynecology, and then I started my own practice just doing GYN care.
And what does that GYN care look like?
So it's a little bit different than your routine gynecological office. So it's comprehensive care. It is really geared to women that are in midlife, so 35 to 55-year-old females. We focus on really holistically. So, if they're struggling with emotions and mood and, all the things because hormones are changing, then we talk through it and we decide, do we need to get mental health involved? How's our nutrition? How's our fitness? I do a lot of hormone management. So I prescribe bioidentical hormones, and it's just really comprehensive. Visits usually start off with 60-minute consultation visits, which is a lot longer than I'm even used to in a traditional setting. And then follow-ups are anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, really just depending on the patient and what's going on. So.
Are you office only, virtual, both?
Yeah, so I can see patients throughout the state of Florida via telehealth. So I'm licensed in Florida. So I do a lot of telehealth for midlife care, hormone management. Obviously, if someone's having a gynecological problem that needs to be evaluated, I need to see you in office. So I'm located in Rockledge. But a lot of my patients, after we, sometimes they'll want to come in for that first initial consult, and then they're really comfortable and they're like, let's just do our follow-up via telehealth because it's more convenient for them. But I can do either.
Okay, great. So you mentioned hormones.
Yes.
Such a hot topic, but like a topic nobody wants to talk about.
100%.
Because it's scary.
Yes, and it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, but talk to us about how you deal with hormones with women and all the things you see.
Yes. So I love seeing patients that have been dismissed from other practices. And I say that because it's really common, unfortunately, for people, especially during perimenopause, which is about 7 to 10 years before the onset of menopause.
7 to 10 years.
7 to 10 years, and no one talks about it, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, I'm having hot flashes, I'm menopausal. But if you backtrack 7 to 10 years, a lot of these symptoms started. Okay. So, those are my favorite patients because they come in and they feel like they're crazy and everything is off and they don't know what to do. And they've been told like, this is normal. There's nothing we can do to help you. And it's not factual. So when you are going through perimenopausal changes, a lot of times you're going to experience a variety of symptoms. Some women have the easiest transition, not a lot changes. They finish having babies. They start losing their cycles. They go into menopause and everything's great. But a lot of women, the ones that I see, are the ones that are struggling emotionally. Their moods like literally all over the place, up and down. They are having, cycle changes. They used to have light cycles, now they're having heavy cycles or vice versa. They could be having joint discomfort. They wake up and they hurt, right? Everyone says, well, that's part of aging. No, it's part of losing estrogen. And so a lot of these changes that are happening can be addressed with hormones. We don't have to use hormones, but there's a good discussion to be had because a lot of women will thrive during that perimenopausal time when they're on hormone management and they have a nice transition into menopause. Okay. So suffering is optional. Yeah.
Do you feel perimenopause is starting earlier for women?
I think we're just talking about it more.
Okay.
So in the United States, the average age of menopause is 51. Okay. So perimenopause, therefore, can give or take 7 to 10 years. I do see women as early as 35 that are complaining of, perimenopausal symptoms. And there's no lab test, contrary to what a lot of, primary cares and GYNs think. There's no lab test that we can just say, hey, go get your labs checked. Are you in perimenopause? It's really symptom-based.
Okay.
So when you do get your labs checked and you're told everything is normal, you are likely probably in perimenopause because you're going to have normal lab values, but abnormal symptoms. And so again, they can be addressed.
So we also see that moms are giving birth later in their years, advanced maternal age.
Yeah,
So
I was one of those, yeah.
How does that relate though? Because you could be having just postpartum symptoms mixed with perimenopause.
100%.
So it's like a gray area
100%.
of crazy
So
chaos.
you can absolutely be perimenopausal and still get your cycles normal. You can still get pregnant, and your postpartum phase might be more challenging because now we have, those baby blues, which are really common, and then postpartum depression, which, isn't very common, but obviously happens. And then you have all these perimenopausal symptoms on top of it. Plus, women are older when they're having babies, as you mentioned. I was an advanced maternal mom, and a geriatric pregnancy.
Right.
I love hearing that term. And so you're already experiencing, I'm more tired and I have a newborn at home and my progesterone's dropping. And so again, how do we, balance all of these things? And so I absolutely see postpartum moms during this window.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
You mentioned feeling crazy.
Yes.
And like you said, some providers will do some blood work and say everything's normal, but she's still not feeling
part
normal.
of aging. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you navigate the crazy with her?
Yeah. So in that perimenopausal time, you've probably heard the term coined. It's like an emotional roller coaster because it's a hormonal roller coaster. So the reason our labs are normal is because things like estrogen and progesterone can be high and low within the same day or within the same week. So again, we can go and do day 3 labs, which is what everyone orders, and say everything looks great, but then they feel like they don't feel great. And so one of the first signs of lowering as your progesterone is dropping, declining progesterone, is mood changes, right? So we're more anxious, we're more depressed, we're more irritable, and we might have a great morning and a terrible afternoon. And again, a lot of this, we can't blame it all on hormones, but we can blame a lot of it on hormones. And so getting that, what I tell women is, let's get back into homeostasis. We don't have to give you tons of hormones to like a birth control, for example, or synthetic hormones, but let's do something that's going to just make you feel even keel again.
You mentioned the roller coaster, and sometimes that roller coaster, we take people along for the ride, like our partners and spouses.
Absolutely.
How can they support or guide us in this process?
Yeah, so I do a lot of like workshops and webinars and social media, and I love when men follow me because I'm like, this is amazing. Because one, I think men are actually more receptive to it than we realize they are, the education, and they can then supply that education to their partners. But I also think them understanding what's happening, right? So we talk a lot about puberty and we talk a lot about postpartum and postpartum depression, but there's not a big emphasis placed on perimenopause and menopause. And so I think if women need to be educated first and foremost. I mean, too many women have no idea what's happening.
Right.
But if we can also educate men so that they understand, like, okay, she's not losing her mind. She truly has brain fog and it's declining estrogen. And, when she asked me 5 times the same question, there's like a biological reason this is happening. And so understanding what's happening, but also being supportive, right? So if some, maybe bringing up the idea of, hey, have you seen a midlife specialist? Someone like me, right? Like we can talk through all this and figure out, is there a solution to what's going on? Or just support. Or, I've never needed mental health counseling before, but I'm 45 and I feel like I could benefit from some, behavioral health counseling. And that's great. Just being supportive in those resources. So absolutely.
I like that. Who else can support?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could talk about like the plethora of support for women. So I collaborate a lot with mental health. I collaborate a lot with nutritionists, personal trainers, good primary care doctors. Again, I see patients that are established with the GYN and love their gynecologist and just see me for that midlife piece to it. So I think it's still great to have that good gynecological relationship if you have one. Loved ones. So even like adolescents, in my house, we have 2 teenagers and there's me that's perimenopausal and my poor husband and then I have a toddler. Like there's a lot of dynamics happening. So, getting loved ones involved in what's going on is vital. So for sure.
And so when a woman's going through that crazy state of that roller coaster, what advice do you have in that moment for them to help handle it while they're working with you to get back to that even keel?
Yeah. And maybe even if they're not working with me yet, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to start prioritizing yourself. I mean, we tell women this all day long. I tell myself that, but you have to find that time during your day, during your week that you can do something that really fills that dopamine bucket. So whether that's going to the gym and exercising, going for a quiet walk by yourself with no kids on the beach. Again, getting the significant other involved in this, like, hey, you need to have some you time and that's okay, right? I'm going to give you permission and vice versa. They probably need their time too. Sleep is vital. So, I just read this article, 74,000 women. If you go to bed after 1 a.m., you're so much more likely to have anxiety or depression in midlife. And so just prioritizing, right? Like, what am I doing in the middle of the night that I could be doing in the middle of the day? Am I mindlessly scrolling social media or am I being productive and switching that time around? So getting a good night's sleep. Eating good. So increasing your protein and your fiber is vital. I think, we've always been on the go. I have 4 boys, we're running from here to there. I'm sure most moms are, women are, and prioritizing, like, what's my nutrition look like, right? I'm so worried about what my 2-year-old's going to eat, but what about me? Like, what am I eating? Right. And when we turn 40, especially, our protein needs to significantly increase. And so working with someone like myself or a good nutritionist to talk about what does that change look like, right? Yeah. It's important that we start lifting heavy and maintaining our muscle mass and our bone density. We've already peaked our bone density and our muscle mass by the time you're 35. So we need to keep improving that. And so all these things are comprehensive wellness, holistic care for women that it's more than just a hormone. Like, I'm big on hormones, but we talk about all of it. Right. So
I love your approach.
Yeah.
It really helps women see the whole picture and not
Absolutely.
Just narrow into one spot. So where can we find information out to book an appointment with you?
Sure. So the best resource is my website. You can schedule directly online. I have my calendar posted. It's really easy. It's pausitivewomenswithanScare.com. I also have a great Instagram page where I share tons of information on just resources, right? Maybe you're not ready to see me, but you just want the knowledge. So Pausitive Women's Care is the handle, and there's so much knowledge out there, and sometimes just knowing how to piecemeal it and what's really specific for you and not just another Googled article. Right. So yeah, my website is probably the best bet though.
Awesome. And you mentioned knowledge and resources that you share, but you also have some collaborative events that are coming up. Can you tell me about those?
Yeah. So I love collaborating with other healthcare practitioners and community members because, again, women's wellness it's a we approach, right? And so we have an event on May 4th. It's 40 plus, flourishing in those years. It's all about perimenopause and menopause in Suntree. In June, we're going to do date is to be determined, but we're going to do a men and menopause event. So it's going to be a date night for couples to come out, learn a little bit about hormonal changes, and then have a fun date night at backyard and throw axes and do all the things to get your anger out, your perimenopausal rage. And then in July, we're doing an M Factor showing, which is a documentary all about midlife and the resources available to women and the lack of knowledge in the medical community. And so explaining why when you go to your GYN, you're getting dismissed because they probably aren't educated about menopausal care. So it's going to be a fun women's event.
I love that. Lots of different ways to connect with you and
Absolutely.
to learn more about this topic. So thank you so much for sharing all this with us, Ashleigh. Is there anything else you want to tell us today?
No, I'm happy to serve the community. So
Well, we appreciate you being a voice in our community.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.